First of all, so I'm very, very, very so excited. I cannot tell how excited I am to have this very first meeting. Oh, I'm getting emotional, which is kind of weird. So I think everyone knows people who are here because we have that meeting doc. I don't think you have met Josh yet. And so I'm going to share the doc so you can see everyone who is here. They have done this little introduction so you can meet them because we only have 45 minutes. So we want to make sure that we can go through all the meeting points. So Josh, do you want to say hi? Oops, you're on mute, I think.
Okay. I'm Josh Berkus. I'm co-chair of TAG Contributor Strategy. I used to know a fair amount of ASL, but I've forgotten most of it. So hopefully this will be a chance for me to revive it.
Cool, and I just posted the doc where everyone introduced themselves, so you can have a look at that. And Rian, do you want to say hi? Because I don't think you're on that.
Hi, I'm Rian. I am the tech lead for the mentoring of the TAG Contributor Strategy, also helping out with mentoring. Yeah, glad to be here.
Rian, you said you're helping with something?
Sorry, I am the tech lead for TAG Contributor Strategy and generally helping out in the community.
This is Ian. Can we talk about TAG and what it means, TAG?
Sure, I'll let Josh respond that one because he's been doing this forever.
Yeah, it stands for Technical Advisory Group. The CNCF has a number of volunteer committees that run things for the organization and set policy. And ours is organized around helping projects grow and get contributors and build good open source projects. And diversity is part of that mission.
Great, thank you, says Ian. This is Rob. Do we have any examples? This is Rob Koch here, in case you don't know me. I wonder if there are any examples set up in place where you talk about diversity and how it helps. And what do you want the advisory committees to have and not have in the CNCF projects?
Well, we have, I know there have been some diversity and inclusions initiatives started, but I think this is like the broader and bigger one, right? So I know there has been some interest in that, but Josh, you know more about things that have, I mean, like we have of course Jay here, which has like we're going to talk about his Maori initiative, and then but like for disabilities, that's definitely the first one. I think, I know I'm rambling. Josh, you know more. Please help me out here before we get to the agenda.
No, that's correct. There's obviously been a lot of work in the code of conduct, but that's not under this tag.
Yeah.
Aside from that, our only organized work on diversity has been more general work on making new contributors welcome.
But yeah, we can start by talking because we had that as there was interest. Ian last time was asking question about Jay's initiative. And so Jay has this amazing initiative with Maori youth. And he is basically the inspiration for this group, because I was thinking like, oh, this is so amazing. Let's do something similar with the deaf and hard of hearing community. So Jay, do you want to tell a little bit about what you've been doing and what you think maybe this group could learn from your efforts?
Yeah, sure. Kia ora e te whānau. He uri au no Ngāti Apa me Ngāti Tūwharetoa o ku iwi. No whanganui Aotearoa ahau ko Jay Tihima tōku ingoa. My name is Jay. I'm from based in Tauranga in New Zealand. I just gave a little bit of an intro in Te Reo Māori, our language, just basically introducing about who I am and my tribal connections and where I'm from, which is quite customary in our culture to introduce ourselves and start making connections with others, especially when meeting for the first time. Yeah, thank you for the intro, Catherine. To be honest, I'm a little bit nervous and very humbled that my work down here helped to inspire this initiative. I'm really excited about it as well. And yeah, looking forward to working with you all a bit closer on this. Just to be clear, because I see that there's quite a few things on the agenda. How long roughly would you like me to talk for? Because I've prepared some stuff, or I can just give a very high level introduction.
Just go, I think like it's fine, because I think I put a lot of my talking. Basically, I'm gonna, everything that I say, it's in there already. It's the meeting notes as well. That's why it's so long. So
Okay.
just go ahead, and we can always do Slack later on. It's
Okay,
important. We
cool.
want to learn from you. So
All good. I'll try to keep it brief though. Cool. So a little bit of background. Most of my work has been with youth and career and community development. So I don't have a tech background at all. I was invited into this space by my friends and mentor at the time, Hippie Hacker, as part of IINZ, which is a small tech company based here in New Zealand. I also work alongside Rian with. And because of my work to try and create meaningful career pathways for people into the space is yeah, why I was invited to join. And I had never heard of open source before meeting Hippie, but I was really inspired by the culture and the values and the principles around it being inclusive, being transparent and collaborative in its design. And I thought there was a lot about those core concepts that could relate well and benefit a lot of the communities that I work with. So I work quite broadly across areas of education and industry and local government and different community organizations. So I had to start quite broadly trying to understand, oh, sorry, just to back it up a little bit. And I was invited to be a part of the mentoring working group to try and create a mentoring initiative for Māori as a pathway into the space. And I later became the co-chair of the mentoring working group alongside Nate and a few others, and working as part of the TAG contributor strategy group as well. And yeah, because it was all new territory for me, and I found pretty quickly it was new territory for a lot of others as well. Not many people that I interacted with in schools or businesses had even heard of open source, let alone cloud native or Kubernetes or any of these sorts of things. I tried to go quite broadly to try and get an understanding about if there was even a need or an interest for it first before trying to create a program that might not necessarily meet the needs. So I thought it might be easier as I'm talking to things to, I'll create a bit of a visual. So is it possible to share my screen for a couple of minutes and just give a bit of a background?
The only thing is with the interpreters will be a lot smaller. So I don't know how let's ask. Does the screen sharing mess up things, or is it, can you still see it in smaller?
This is Ian. Depends on your computer. If you have two monitors like I have, then I have the interpreter up there on a large screen. It depends on everybody's setup.
Oh, okay. I can just talk to it. It's fine. Yeah, so just high level, I guess we started to, I've had a small project team working with me, and so there's quite a big research phase just to try and understand what it was and how we could communicate it. Kubernetes, for instance, which was our primary focus, we found was like a very high skill set required. And although there's lots of good guides and documentation, found that engaging with young Māori, for instance, it wasn't necessarily going to be consistent with their learning styles, and some of the way that the ideas of even community and things with frames might be a little bit confusing. So we sort of went back to scratch and started to develop some basic learning resources. We started creating and getting involved in different events around career pathways to try and test, just introducing them to concepts like open source, giving examples of different open source software and platforms, and trying to sort of show the continuum and the scope of all the different opportunities that are available, and try and get an understanding about what might be the best way to help make things make a little bit more sense to people. So we're also working alongside local tertiary providers. There's a local Institute of Technology where one of the tutors, for instance, had a bit of experience and had even created some entry-level programs to support people into things like, or introduce people to like the Raspberry Pis and open source. But because of, again, the lack of awareness and understanding, it had never been able to be implemented. And then gradually started working alongside local council and local tech businesses who are also interested in encouraging more people into the space and trying to have a bit more of a collective approach to it. So currently in New Zealand, there's about 4% participation from Māori in digital tech spaces in general, and about 2.5% for Pacific Islanders. So it's quite a universal sort of challenge. And gradually it sort of branched out. So we've been running a series of events, running career development workshops with local youth providers. And currently I'm working with a Māori Economic Development Agency, and we're working with about 20 schools across the region at the moment to try and introduce the technology as well. So for the last few months, we've had an intern with us that started, we had 2 students that were starting with us. One became our first mentee under the LFX program, which was a good understanding in terms of what other barriers we might need to navigate. And another one, our intern who's just started to work with me in the schools as well to start delivering that information directly. So yeah, things are expanding all the time, and it's been good to more recently connect with Māori tech and digital collectives to again try and approach this, these barriers a bit more collaboratively. And a lot of it is about the cultural consideration as well, in terms of if we were to bring our people into the space, how can we do that in a way that doesn't just offer them great development opportunities, but is also culturally safe and consistent with our values as a people too. So also working now with one of the local universities. We've got an Indigenous data conference that we're planning for next month. We're working with about 25 different STEAM providers to try and support with tech pathway development. I'm working with another regional council that we've got another event to create pathways for, just outside the region. So all these sorts of things are starting to branch out, and the idea is that once you have a broader sort of understanding as a whole about what the need is and what is going to be the best way forward, then we can sort of narrow in and create a program that might be where it might be similar to existing, like the LFX program with the 10-week format, for instance, or is it something that is a little bit more consistent in alignment with the way that our people best learn and want to transition into the space at all, whether it be micro credentialing or other things too. So yeah, I think that hopefully gives a little bit of context. I think overall a lot of it is around education. What ways can we better communicate these ideas? What ways can we better get people involved in creating the educational resources? And again, telling not just the technical skill sets, but understanding holistically in consideration of our whole order or entire Māori well-being, what is going to be the best way to do that. And I think this basic framework connect is something to support our people, not just into tech, but into any industries with a bit more of those considerations in place. So yeah, that's me at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
Cool. Yeah, and like the great thing is like about creating these different initiatives within the CNCF is that we can all learn from each other, right? Like whatever, like I'm sure there are like things, yeah, that Jay has implemented. Like we really want to have kind of create that kind of community where we can ask questions and learn from each other. And hopefully we'll have more and more initiatives like this, trying to get a more diverse community in open source and cloud native. And one thing that I wanted to mention, I put it at the top of the agenda. It's like, if you added this meeting to your calendar with the CNCF calendar, it is recurring. It does not make it recurring. You have to do it manually. So I just wanted to mention that. So the next one will not be there. So you have to automatically make it. Yeah. So you don't miss our next one. Unfortunately, I don't know. It's kind of weird that it needs that manual step. But okay, so just going through the agenda, and again, like anyone at any time can add points there. The agenda is pinned to our channel. I will make a little note before the meeting starts, a day before. Whatever you want to talk about, this is our meeting. Shouldn't be a monologue. So we all participate, we all drive the agenda. So feel free to add whatever you think we should be discussing here. I did add a few things because I think we have the Google Doc and the issue. And I think the goals were kind of like broken down by audience, but I think based on a post that Rob wrote, and I don't know, I was like thinking basically I think there are like 3 goals, and I wanted to kind of define those, right? Like the first goal, or they're not priority, like 3 very different goals. Like one is get more deaf and hard of hearing individual into cloud native and open source, right? The next one would be ensure that deaf and hard of hearing are more visible within the cloud native community and can participate in public discourse, right? And then I think the other one is like encouraging more employees to hire deaf and hard of hearing individuals, and including like educating them, what does it take? And then like, of course, all of that with the help of the CNCF. So I think that was all in there, but I thought like just creating those, like kind of summarizing them in those 3 overarching goals. Again, just put them there, like if you disagree, if you want to tweak, but I thought like it would be good to have it more like summarized in like 1, 2, 3. Does that sound? I think like it sounded like it was kind of like where we're going with, but.
So question. In the agenda, you see we've got 2 different ones. One that's labeled CNCF, tagged contributors. And then there's the other one that was deaf and hard of hearing.
two agendas? There is just one doc.
There's two documents. There's two documents.
Oh, two documents. Yeah, one is the agenda.
Yes,
Oh,
So which one are you looking at?
oh, people have been posting. So I don't know. I just
Catherine, I think to clarify, Catherine, to clarify, when I loaded the document, the first document agenda, there was all the meeting. It had a link to a that there is another document. So I'll drop both. I think it's hard popular. There's nothing in there, so I'll drop both quickly. To help you
you're
clarify
breaking up
what
a
we're
little bit,
talking about.
Rian. I don't know, like the internet. Oh, so I don't know which docs. I've just put like agenda. Then we have a brainstorming doc. But now they're
Okay.
without.
I
So
see
there's
the
these,
one.
I shared this.
Well, the one with agenda document, that's the one that you're talking about. That's one you're reading from, yes?
Yeah, the one that, exactly, that's the one that we're gonna
Okay,
use at the meeting. And then people can add their names, and then, yeah, that's where we discuss what we'll talk about, right? And then there's the other one, which is a brainstorming doc. Right, that where we have like our goals and so
Got
on.
it. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, lots of documents. I know. Sorry about the confusion. Okay, so now we are.
I think it just helps, yeah, you get a lot juggling a lot with, you know, the documents and the Zoom and yeah, just wanted to make sure that everybody was looking at the right place and being able to follow the discussion.
Awesome, thank you, yeah. Okay, so, and yeah, there I kind of posted the three goals that I thought we had in the brainstorming doc that were more broken down between audiences, but I thought like maybe just like summarizing them and like putting, because they all, I think, go, like if we kind of put them down, they're like all kind of, the overall goal is like, can be defined under one of those three points here. Okay, and then, yeah, I think like right now our top priority, I don't know if it's that much top priority now because we have like a kind of nice, healthy, like group size of people. I mean, I think like, especially for a working group, having like 30 people is not really feasible, right? So, but I think we still want to identify more deaf and hard of hearing to join our effort, whether to kind of be active contributors or just know that we exist, that can provide feedback, and so we can reach them, right? So I think we should still continue to do that. So we have awareness activities. So we did submit a lightning talk for KubeCon, and it's lightning talks are 5 minutes, and the idea is to talk about this initiative and say like, this is there, please get the word out. And then after John and I submitted, like Ian said that they would be there. So like if we get that, of course, Ian would have to be on stage as well. And then we also have the Montana track, which is a talk that I'm pretty sure we're gonna get that because it's a different category than the regular submission. And Josh proposed a really great topic called welcoming all contributors. And so Jay would be there as well, talking about his initiative, and Ian would present like whatever. We're hoping that will have made some progress. So, and the idea is to present what this group has worked on, because KubeCon is in November, so there's like some time to do stuff. So that will be great as well. So we're still doing the coordinated social media campaign. We should continue to do that because we have found many of you because of that. So definitely something we should continue. Also working with the CNCF PR team. Congrats again to Rob for his interview. That was really cool. And yeah, this also like the PR team is super excited about this initiative, and that really helps. I want to keep them excited so that they become our allies and want to kind of push and kind of help us get the word out as well. And then I think like reaching out to organizations, right? So I reached out to RIT and got a very excited email, but then kind of it was dead. So I'm hoping because of the holidays. But the question is here, like, do you know any other organizations we should kind of reach out to, right? Like who else can, like, not, it doesn't, like, some people may want to really participate, some people may just want to kind of get the word out, but anyone who works with the deaf and hard of hearing in tech specific, like, they can help us get the word out, right? So do you know anyone, have any contacts, so if so, please let's reach out to them, because the more people know about it, the better.
Yeah, we're actually going to be reaching out to a deaf professional Slack group. Oh, we already have. Sorry, that was the interpreter. So a lot of people are here from that. So it was because of the deaf professional Slack group. And having that connection with them has made it so that when things start happening, we can spread the word there. So we do have relationships there, which then would be different schools, different connections there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, there is one. We've reached out to Gallaudet and also Dr. Raja. I believe we've reached out to him.
Yeah. I think that was me, right, Ian?
I think it was you. Yes, I think it was you.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't sure if someone else also reached out to the same person, but it's like, because I know I talked to Raja. Yeah, and I think another thing, and that's like me as a marketer speaking, right? Because it's like, so whenever you have like, you want to raise awareness or something, it's not a one-off thing, right? It's not one tweet, it's not one. So I think, Ian, that's exactly right. So as we do, like, we have to create excitement, you know, like as we have like action items or did something, mention it to that Slack group. Hey, we've done this, you know, maybe like our video, like, so that people can see progress is made and get that excitement. So people join, because it takes time, sometimes like several touch points until someone actually decides to come. And then like in that like awareness kind of bucket, things that we could do as well is I would love to create like occasional CNCF blog posts where we talk about why this initiative is important, maybe like feature one or two of you about your background, why you're in tech, what are the challenges that you faced and why you think important, like, you know, like little things that are like about people, and that's very engaging, and then continuously kind of push that story out, you know, that's so that people see about like the importance that it is and the value that you're bringing to your organization. So same thing, the CNCF has live streams. I would love at some point to have like we have to organize with that we have interpreters and so on, but like have a panel discussion with some of you where you discuss about, you know, being deaf in tech, the same thing, like challenges and why, like it's always like kind of the same theme, different people, different, but it's like repeat. We need to repeat it until enough people see it, people remember, right? So it's like always repetition is really important. Any comments or questions regarding that?
Yeah, just in regard to reaching out to other organizations or people in general.
Rob
sorry.
was speaking.
Sorry.
So,
go ahead, Jay. Robert's saying, go ahead, Jay, and then I'll go next.
Okay, apologies. Yeah, in regard to reaching out to organizations or others in general, is it worth developing perhaps some vision or mission statements that are really clear and concise, so people can understand what our intent is and how we hope to work with others. Because, like, for instance, I've just connected with a national deaf education provider here called Kotaku Reo. I think I mentioned them to you, Ian, in our comms recently. So we had a really good meeting, but it took quite a while for us to sort of work through exactly what our intent was. And I explained that it was a new and developing initiative. And, by the time I'd given a bit more context about, open source and CNCF and things in general, it took a little while to sort of get to the core of what we needed to discuss. So would it be worth developing some consistent messaging in terms of how we, is there something different between how we approach organizations as opposed to individuals in general via the social media platforms? What's everyone's thoughts?
So basically like a pitch, right? Like, how do you pitch the initiative to someone, right? It's kind of like, how do you make it appealing, or like explain what it is, depending if it's like a educational institution, they will care about different things. So how do you explain what this is and why they should participate, right, for different audiences?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something I just want to be respectful of in general. Part of that conversation, for instance, came up that they don't, or some of their staff don't like to use the term hard of hearing because there's some sentiment that comes from like a deficit perspective. And that's the first time I'd had that conversation or heard that feedback myself. So it's just trying to understand, what is going to be the best way to approach and discuss this initiative going forward that considers those sorts of things.
Yeah, so we had a discussion about how to call it.
Yeah.
Right. And then, or how to abbreviate it. But I think like everyone here was very didn't seem like hard of hearing, deaf and hard of hearing seemed to be like what a lot of people seemed like everyone was using. So
cool. I
didn't know that some people found that kind of offensive because it's a deficit, but I didn't hear it here. Yeah, it's very popular. Yeah.
Oh, me neither. And
this is Ian. I think that it depends if you're in the US versus New Zealand. There may be different perspectives. And there are people from France who, there may be people from France, and I don't know what language they use. This is Rob. Just like sign language is different all over the world. So the terms are going to be different. The language use will be different. Labeling will be different. Perspectives, right, all over the world.
Yes,
so we'll have to contend. We'll just have to contend with that. And how do you plan to incorporate intersectionality? And where we have, if we all get together, we talk about minority or underserved populations. If are we going to have a big event with the whole group coming together, like a conference? We want to make sure that we get together while we overcome the perspective that we can't talk about things that we cannot do.
I think Emmanuel wanted to say something. Oh.
So that's my question. Is there a plan to have an event? That's my question.
Oh, so there was, sorry, I was like, so, I mean, this is our first meeting. So I don't know, this is our group. Rob, you're part of the group, so this is, we can, you know, if that's something that we want to do, maybe I would love for at some point people to say like, hey, let's meet at KubeCon and do something there or somewhere else, you know, like a specific event. I did not think about that, but why not? But it's like, those are like, I think these are things that we can brainstorm here, think about how could we make it happen. And it's up to us to kind of see what we would need to ask the CNCF to do. And it's like, I would love for that. I would love to meet every one of you in person. So I think the sky is the limit. We have to just come up with ideas, see that enough people are interested, of course. Like if it's just 2 people interested, it's going to be a little difficult to say like, let's do an event. But I mean, I would love for us to say like, okay, we'll have, let's say in 6 months, it's very, I don't think that's very feasible, but let's say in 6 months, we have 100 people who are deaf in tech in our channel, right? And then we can do like a poll and say like, hey, we would like to do a meetup or something. And then people say yes and want to. It's like, yes, I would love for that, but it's difficult to say now if we don't know who the community, if we cannot reach it, we don't know, you know, like we need to kind of build that community, see the interest, and more feasible, I would think. Oh, Ian wants to say just like one quickly before, is to start with, okay, a CNCF event like KubeCon, say like, okay, let's try to have several people who want, like, who is interested, let's meet there, do something within KubeCon, and then kind of grow from there. Sorry, Ian.
I fully agree with you. And I'd like to also pose the idea that we need to be reasonable because there's going to be a lot of work. We have history of doing this work in the past. We have DEF CON. We had a group of 6 to 10 deaf people that went to this conference every year. In the past, we had enough people that went, enough people that would provide.
We reached critical mass.
Thank you. We reached a critical mass. And people were compelled. People were interested. We started from there. If we start there, more people will join. You know, we could see who's interested in going, and then we can check in with people.
Who's going to be going to Chicago to KubeCon and then go from there too?
So we have Ian from, like, did you just like, Rob, did you just also said yes or to KubeCon?
I agree with Ian. Just thumbs up.
Okay.
Critical mass is
Okay.
key.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
if we're visible and people are interested, you know, people there at the conference see this opportunity, they see this group of people, that will keep us in mind, especially when they're hiring or when they're communicating or networking. They'll keep deaf and hard of hearing people in mind.
Yeah, agree. And I
And
think
the more visible we are, the better we are. It's almost like marketing.
yeah, it is marketing too. I know like a lot of people say it's like a oops.
Right. It's you're gonna embed into their subconscious that we're out there.
But I want to emphasize it's upon, like, it lays within this group with the people, right? People need to be committed. We need to grow the group, and people, it's like, if people, you know, like, we cannot do this without people who want to make change, who are saying, okay, we want to show up so people see us. So, and for that reason, especially for the visibility, I would love to have KubeCon talks where you have, you know, people, deaf people talking, you know, like presenting, and not only about accessibility. I think like you know, like it's important to talk about accessibility, but also like just you're much more than that. You're also technical people. So it's like about all the topics, right? Being visible, as you said, Rob, that employers are there, can see you. It only happens, you can only be top of mind if you're visible, right? And I think what we're trying, one of the goals, at least that I think are really important, is make you more visible, right? By being at conferences, by talking to media, by participating in panels, you know, and but for that we need as well like a critical mass, right? And engagement, and make sure that everyone, yeah, is working towards those goals. But I think it's all feasible.
All right, it's time to start badgering my company to send me there.
That would be awesome. Quick question to the both interpreters. Do you need to leave at 45 minutes?
I can stay. Amber, can you stay?
Okay.
Great, we're here.
I can
Okay.
stay, and now's a good switch time since we kind of paused.
Awesome. And then, okay, so then I kind of made like a proposed kind of action plan. So I think we do need, as I mentioned, like awareness is really important, and awareness and visibility, we just talked exactly about that, right? Visibility is important, for just as important as all the other aspects. Then talking about PR opportunities, participating in panel discussion, conference talk, continuously pushing through social media. So really making sure that in our community, deaf and hard of hearing are part of this community. We're here, right? Like we're visible, you know, like it is continuously, it's not ongoing. We need to make sure that we do that. Yeah, I created that social media calendar. So the goal is to have one person tweet per like whatever social media you want to use per week, if at least once a week. Like if we have something new, like Rob's video interview, of course we can do more, or anything that we have to announce. But yeah, like if you just want to put your names down there, and then just we're short. It's a good way to kind of make sure that we don't forget and we continuously push. And then again, the CNCF is super on board, their social media team and PR team, so they will retweet, repost, and so on. So let's do that. And then I had a question. Are there any deaf, hard of hearing tech events or events, meetup, Slack channel? We already talked about that, but we probably talked about that. We would have, I don't know if there are any events specifically. Yeah. Okay. Thought I might ask. Okay, and then also I wanted to make really clear, like, oops,
Ian,
sorry.
DEF CON, Robert's saying DEF CON,
yeah.
Ian's like, well, that shut down. Yeah, that shut down. Oh, okay. Unfortunately, there was a conflict with the conference, and then it made it so, yeah, deaf people weren't going. Anyway, it's done. He says, so basically KubeCons are back up, huh? Ian's like, precisely, precisely.
Well, wait, definitely, I'm up for that. And then, so I also wanted to make clear the difference between like being part of the team or like and community, right? Like, of course, we want to have a team which like are people who are actively participating, willing to do some work, right? Join the meetings. We don't expect everyone to be at every meeting and do all the time, like so, but it's like just being active, right? And yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to attend every meeting. And some team members will probably turn into people of the community. You always lose people, right, who will have like less and more time. And then the community, that's I think which we really need to grow. And I would love for the Slack channel to become that meeting point for all deaf and hard of hearing, because we need to reach people, right? Like for instance, finding out who is going to KubeCon, right? Like we need to find out like, or who is interested. Maybe if people know that a group is going, that will make it much more attractive to go, because then we can do, as Josh suggested, maybe like a lunch or like something within at KubeCon where we can do something for the community. So having a way to reach people is super important, right? Like, and maybe like request feedback. Not everyone has to do the work. We also need people just to be there and interested. Like, and if we create an artifact, just post it on the Slack channel, say like, hey, do you have any feedback? You know, if we all work on it, but like, it would be great if 20 people could, you know, look at it and have more eyeballs on it. Maybe we need, we have a survey, right? Or something that we wanted to do. So we can say like, hey, CNCF, like we have 20 people who are really interested and want to do this. So it's like just backing it up. So we're not just asking the CNCF for certain things, but we can say here, there's actually people interested in that. So, so I think it's really important to grow that community. And again, not everyone has to be part of that. I mean, I would love that the more people are involved and want to be involved, but like, again, there's no pressure. And like, I think we need to kind of have like a critical mass there to, yeah, just to do more and provide specific guidance. Any questions or comments on that? Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like we'll get in a cadence. We'll get going and it'll go smoother, you know, monthly.
Yeah. So okay, so that's like the
And Ian says we just got. Yeah, I was just saying we just set this whole thing up. So
I know it's I think it's great so far.
Absolutely agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your support, Catherine, really with everything. Getting us involved and really just very much appreciate your support in this.
No, it makes me really
as well.
happy. It makes me really happy. Okay, so that is kind of the awareness thing that is really important, right? We need to grow the community, always like be out there. And then of course, just talking about it is not important. So we really need to develop the artifacts, right? It's like the things, recommendation. And so I linked in the doc to that working doc. That's the doc with the audiences and so on. So that document is there to brainstorm. And ideally, and then we have the issue as well, which I'm going to link there. We don't need to look at it right now, but so the issue basically, once we are happy with something, we just put it there. That's kind of the public, what we kind of put to the public, right? And if each time I've updated, I put it updated and then the date so that people know that things are moving forward. So we do have kind of all these different audiences, and we agreed that those are the right audiences and kind of the goals that we want to do. So I would suggest that the individuals of each audience should kind of target, like work on the audience they belong to, right? Like, for instance, we don't have anyone in academia yet, but it would be great to find people in academia who can focus on how, or like create recommendation. What does the university need? What tools do they need if they want to teach this to students, right? Kind of, and then we have people who are in tech, like deaf and hard of hearing in tech, but not in cloud native. Oops.
I gotta run too.
Huh?
Robert just said, I gotta run too. Yeah. Yeah, we're after the 45 minutes. So I think everybody's starting to drop off.
Okay, I mean, we can continue the conversation on Slack as well, or the next meeting. I mean, we had now with a little bit more with the initial kickoff. I think it was a little slower. Okay. Yeah, I
Josh,
mean, yeah, let's just continue on Slack, see like if we have people who want to participate in different areas, and then we'll take it from there. And
Josh has his hand up.
pardon me?
Josh has his hand up.
Oh, sorry, Josh.
Yeah, just to continue, do we have a dedicated Slack channel for this group?
Yes.
Okay, I'll get on it and then I will ask my remaining question.
Okay, cool. Then let's just stick, because I think we stick with the 45 minutes because that was the time for the interpreters. So we want to keep it by that too, because we don't want to abuse their kindness either. So, okay, well, thanks everyone. And then let's continue the conversation. Great first meeting.
Awesome. Thanks again, Catherine. Good to meet you all.
Thanks. Bye.